Welcome to this video about completing a SEND35a appeal application form. This video will cover when this form should be used and explain what information to include on each page of the form. A SEND35a form is used to lodge an appeal against a refusal to conduct an education, health and care needs assessment decision. The first part of the form gives you some information about who can appeal, who can be an advocate and who can be a representative. It's a good idea to read this information as it is relevant to the form later on. Section 1 asks for the details of the person the appeal is about. Section 2 asks for your reasons for lodging an appeal. This is one of the most important sections of the form. You will need to explain why you believe the local authority should carry out an EHC needs assessment. The tribunal will consider two questions in the appeal, and it asks you to provide information relating to both of them. The first question is whether your child or young person may have special educational needs. You can talk about any needs which have been identified and any which have not yet been identified. The second question is whether your child or young person may need an EHCP. You should think about the support that is currently in place for your child and what is working and not working. You can think about why you feel the support is not working and what more support they might need which your current educational setting is unable to provide. You do not need a formal diagnosis to appeal. The key issue is whether your child has or may have special educational needs that require further investigation through an EHC needs assessment. Section 3 asks which local authority made the decision you are appealing against and the date on the decision letter from the local authority. You will need a mediation certificate to lodge an appeal against a refusal to assess decision. If you do not have a mediation certificate or your appeal is late, you will need to explain why. Your appeal is late if you are submitting it more than 2 months after the date on a decision letter or more than 1 month after the date on your mediation certificate, whichever is later. Section 4 asks if you consent to a paper hearing. Paper hearings are where the tribunal only looks at the documents and evidence which has been sent to them. These types of appeals can be a bit quicker, but there is no opportunity for the judge to ask questions to clarify any information or for you to ask questions of the local authority. Oral hearings are usually held online by a secure video link, but you can request an in-person hearing if needed. They give you the opportunity to explain your case directly, ask questions, and respond to any issues raised during proceedings. There is generally a longer wait for oral hearings. The local authority will be able to provide their views on whether there should be an oral hearing or a paper hearing, and it's the tribunal who makes the final decision. Section 4 asks if you have any existing appeals which are in process currently. Section 5 asks for basic information about the person making the appeal. This could be you as the parent, a young person, or an alternative person. An alternative person is someone making an appeal on behalf of a young person, and there is space to put details for up to 2 people. Section 6 asks if there is anyone else who shares parental responsibility who should be involved in the appeal. It also asks if you have an advocate or a representative. Advocates are usually used where it's a young person who is lodging the appeal, but parents can also have advocates. But you don't need to have an advocate, and many parents proceed with their appeal without one. Representatives are usually legal representatives who act on behalf of a parent or a young person. They will be the only person to receive information about the appeal and respond to it for you. Section 7 asks about your needs and requirements. You can let the tribunal know if you have any special educational needs or if you require an interpreter. Section 8 is a checklist reminder of the information you need to include when you submit your appeal form. You will need the local authority decision letter and mediation certificate. You will need to set out your reasons for appealing. You may have written this on this form or written it somewhere else, such as a Word document. Section 9 asks you to sign and date the form. You can type your name rather than sign it if you're completing the form electronically. Section 10 explains how to submit the appeal. Section 11 asks you to list the supporting evidence you are sending along with your appeal form. You can include this information in the email you send to the tribunal if that's easier. The easiest way to submit your appeal is by emailing it to send@justice.gov.uk. You will need to write new appeal in the subject line, and you will need to attach the appeal form to the email, along with your LA decision letter, mediation certificate, and any supporting evidence. It's very important that you check that you have attached all of the documents, as the appeal can't be registered without them. You can submit the appeal by post if necessary, but make sure to use recorded delivery. The tribunal communications are generally sent by email, even if the original appeal was posted. Once your appeal has been submitted, you should receive an automatic acknowledgement email confirming receipt. You then need to wait for the appeal to be registered. This should happen within 20 working days, so around 4 weeks. If you've not heard anything after that, you should contact the tribunal. Sometimes the tribunal will contact you if something is missing. However, this does not stop the appeal deadline clock running. Missing documents can potentially push the appeal beyond the deadline, meaning you may then need to explain why your appeal is submitted late.